and using AI, and so therefore we think it's always, from the customer perspective, it's always important to see, is it beneficial? What should we do and how should we focus? And today I'll try to elaborate a bit on one of our very good customers, Witrics. I'm not sure you're familiar with them. They could unfortunately not be here today, otherwise they would have be glad to tell their story, but I'll try to do my best in order to tell their story. You probably don't all know Wecan, and I would say that's a kind of a business that is the backbone of Danish economy. A mid-sized company, they have been here for 125 years plus, which is a very long time, but they're a world-leading supplier of hygienic cleaning tools across various industries, as you see here. Food and beverage, food retail, facility cleaning, transportation and fleet. They have approximately 500,000. I heard from you, Jacob, I need a big number, but I should have written it all out. But they have a turnover of 500 million Danish kroner, and they distribute their products into 90 different companies. I've just taken a few photos here so you can see what kind of products do they have. It's a very low-tech product, you could say. It's like mops and brushes and dustpan and cleaning trolleys and that kind of stuff. They have done this for many, many years, and a huge change back in the 70s was changing to using plastics, which isn't very, you can't talk about that today, but they're still using plastics in many areas because we want it to be clean. But those are the areas that they're in, and again, producing for companies all over the world. This is a very simple process. Just I will expand it in a while, but we're actually going from order to cash in the process that I'm going to talk about now. And what I would like to elaborate on is what are Wecan's automation landscape, because I would call it a landscape. They're using all kinds of technologies from UiPath, but also other things, and melting it together. But this is the process that I'll try to expand. So before we started all this agent AI or automation journey together with Wecan, the process looked like this. They had a lot of sales orders coming in from all over the world, going into one inbox, but together with a lot of many other things. So they sat manually and classified all the mails coming in. What is it? Is it a sales order? Then we have to do this. But if it's something else, we have to distribute it. So this is a kind of a human agent setting and distributing stuff to the rest of the organization. They are having more than 350 orders per week and primarily keying everything in. So I put this little EDI on the bottom here, which is kind of a premature automation way, you could say. So you could actually get sales orders automatically into your ERP systems, for instance, but their customers, they couldn't support that. So it was below 20% of all the customers that were actually able to send it in a format that they could actually electronically receive. So they had to sit there and key in all the sales orders into their system. So a lot of manual work in order to support their customers. And I just took 3 of the main pains, you could say. As I already said, more than 70% of all the sales orders were keyed in manually. And that was only to support their customers. Otherwise, they couldn't support them because they couldn't receive it electronically. Or if you say that a PDF is electronically, they received it electronically. But again, typo mistakes led to incorrect orders. And a funny thing about the last comment here is the order picking routines in the warehouse was that when we automated the process that we're going to see in a while, they actually came from the warehouse into the office and said, what has happened? We used to drink coffee the first hour in the morning because we hadn't received any orders. And now when we meet in the morning, the orders are already here, so we could start picking and packing all the stuff. So that was actually kind of a side effect that I had from automating. Okay. Now, I would like to elaborate a bit on this part of the sales process and see what have we actually done in order to help them. Of course, it was various documents, multiple countries, various layouts that we have to support, and this is easy for us as humans. And we work with UiPath, we work with document understanding, and we can use that in many ways in order to optimize this. But now we have also introduced LLMs in order to support for even a bigger span, you could say. We have optimized how we use document understanding in how to train it, and the customer also used what is it called, the action center in order for the users to optimize. But again, a broad variety of documents coming in. So what we did was we started having an agent optimizing how to distribute this. And something had to go into the ERP system, and something had to go completely elsewhere. So what we did here was, first of all, we used, of course, agents. We used agents and AI, and as I said, we used document understanding, and all of this was actually becoming an automated process. And one of the good things also was that it actually could support the huge difference in countries and currencies and layouts and stuff like that. So what we did was we actually were able to verify that the customer was some customer that we knew. So the customer on the sales order was actually also identified within our ERP system. We could get the exact delivery date that the customer wanted and get that keyed into the system. Of course, on each line we could get the exact amount of items that the customers wanted. If there were any difference between what was registered in our system and what we received on the sales order, it was identified, and of course the sales orders were automatically created now in the ERP system. So a huge transformation for the sales process team in order to how much time they spend on handling an incoming flow of sales orders. But as I said, there's more to the flow throughout the company, and the supply chain was also something that now became possible to do something more intelligent about. The setup at Beacon was that they had two different systems, one for the warehousing part, warehouse management, and one for the production planning. And they manually sit there on a daily basis and continuously planning in both systems because they had to be sure that they had all the right items in stock and that sub-productions was prepared in the right time in order to make a production order. So they continuously sat there and planning in order to optimize and be sure that they had the right materials on stock for making the production at the right time. And when completed, they of course had the products and the invoicing, but also labeling. When you're working within areas like the food industry, you have to be very sure that the labels are correct for your products. So it sounds easy, but it can be very tedious and very difficult actually to get that correct when you make a lot of different productions. And as in any other production company, you would like to make the batches exactly the size that is necessary and not produce for stock, and that's the same for weekend. So a lot of changes in the production setup continuously in order to make the right productions for the orders every time. And then when shipping, you have to pack all the products in the right size for a pallet and have the right size of the pallet for the right type of transportation that you want to ship it through, no matter if it's a truck or going by ship or by plane. Now let's take a closer look at these parts of the process. As I said, a huge problem was that the purchase orders didn't fit the production orders. So we can, of course, continuously has to purchase themselves raw materials and colors and labels and all the kinds of stuff that is addressing their customers individually. And the lack of dynamic handling of stock levels was a problem, because it could change overnight, that they had a quick order or they had an interruption in the production where they had to scrap, and then the stock level was not the right one for doing for the next production. So it meant that their production and the production orders that they started could be incomplete because they didn't have the right amount of raw materials on stock. So they actually started production orders that they couldn't complete, which was, of course, a fraud. So what we have helped them doing is putting some dynamics into how the warehouse planning and the production planning operate together. Though they have two systems, through the use of agents and AI, we can actually much better predict now which kind of orders can we start, when can we start them, do we have the right materials in stock. Also, simple things like putting the right labels on the right products can be justified by using agents to a completely new level, because you can print it just in time continuously instead of printing ahead and controlling by hand what to put on where. I think I'll just elaborate a bit on the last one, because that's we're actually working on right now. So how do we pack intelligently when we put it on a pallet, and also focusing on where it should go. So we have one of the last things we have done together with them is we have used a machine learning model in order to optimize how the pallets are packed, if they're going by ship or by plane, because they vary in size, and when you have a lot of small products or big products, and some can be in boxes and some are not, how do you actually optimize how you pack the pallet? That's very difficult for us as human beings in order to, how do we do that the best way? But by using intelligent machine learning models or AI, you can actually optimize that in a much more structured way. And so again, also the shipping part is actually being optimized now with more intelligent automation. So, as I said, some of the gains they got was better control of their stock levels. And also this one, the agents actually ordered automatically, or they order automatically now if they're missing raw materials. So now they know these production will be the next that we're going to produce, and we're missing raw materials out there. Should we just send a new purchase order to our supplier? That is pretty smart, I think. Validate dependencies and also confirming the purchase order, because now we send the purchase order to the supplier, but the supplier responds, but do they respond with what we have ordered? We check that automatically. And then our supplier, or weekend supplier of course, they also would like to have a better forecast. So they have got a much more accurate forecast continuously, which helps their suppliers and get better deals. So I would say, all in all, you can see this is certain areas. We use a variety of technologies, but we use a very strong platform here from UiPath, which kind of bind it all together in a very neat way. And as Jakob said, it can be in a very safe mode, in a safe way, but you don't have to be restricted to UiPath. You can combine it with many other things and make a very, very strong impact. So I hope this gives an idea of what you can actually gain. But if we look at Weekend and see what they have gained from this, they tell us they have improved customer service significantly, because now they actually can handle each incoming orders, and they can be much more accurate on when to deliver and actually fulfill it. They can scale their business without increasing the staff. We have often heard that when it comes to automating your business, but that is actually what they're doing. Of course, smaller things you could say, but they can have a huge impact. So enhancing quality both in picking routines in the warehouse, but also in production. Ensure that you don't have wrong sales orders and shipments sent, and you get much more accuracy in each production. Warehouse improvements, and this I think is very interesting and tells something about the impact of this automation journey that Weekend has been on. They have actually gone from 20%, and I said they had 20% before because that was how many of their customers they actually had an agreement with regarding EDI. So actually 80% of their customers, they weren't able to support them with EDI. And now they have gone all the way up to 70% of all their sales orders being handled fully automated. And they have become much more sure of which production orders can be fulfilled, less stop and go. And as I said, they have improved how to forecast better to their supplier in order to get great prices. Thank you. I hope this gives an idea of what we have done together with Weekend. I'll just say one last thing, because we also have a book, and you can come to our booth. We have made a small book on how to automate an organization. It's just our brief thoughts on what you should be aware of if you want to deep dive into that. And of course, if you would like to hear more from Weekend and talk to themselves, please also contact us. I'm sure we can arrange something with them. Any questions?
Thank you. A round of applause to Anders. So do we have any questions to Anders? Oh, awesome.
You went from...
Wait. So everyone hears your question?
Thank you. Why can the last 30% of orders not be automated? Or what's the difficulty there?
For now, it's primarily due to countries, you could say. So it's primarily at what speed can they actually handle it. So it's more a matter of which countries are we ready to support, because they can come much closer. But they will probably never come to 100% because there will be some customer-specific requirements that needs certain, you could say, handling from their side. But they will come much closer. So it's just a matter of taking the various countries in a decent order and make sure that how it's handled automated is correct.
Thank you.
Awesome. There's another question. Yeah.
Where is the hand? Oh.
All the way back.
All the way back. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question.
because this business case to me looked a bit like something that could have been done with the toolbox from UiPath before introducing AI, if you disregard maybe the LLM for the forecast. So can you sort of dive into how AI was improving the toolbox you already had? I mean, if you establish all the business rules, I feel like you could have done this without AI, so I'm failing to see what AI actually contributed to this project.
You can say two certain areas where we can see an effect on using LLMs and also the machine learning side of it. And the LLM makes it much more certain, not just document understanding, because you have to train with document understanding in order to be better and know the documents. But where it, you could say the spillover from document understanding, we actually put through a service we have made regarding or using LLM, which increases the hit rate tremendously. So we actually kind of combine it. So you could say a lot of it you can do with what you have from UiPath, but some of it you can't. The variety in the documents changes continuously because they get new customers continuously. So that's a great way to use that. And again, also the machine learning model for optimizing how to pack packages and put them to fit well within flight sizes, you could say. That's a huge impact, you could say, and that's not possible for humans to optimize as good as using AI. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the most rewarding about this project?
I think to see the happiness for the people working, actually, because they had a lot of time keying in and feeling, wow, why are we doing this? It's just a hassle. And seeing their change in what they do, because they haven't fired anybody, they're just being optimized in their work and much more happy. So I think that's the biggest reward for them.
Awesome, because this is something we need to remember what we do. We automate. Think about the rewards. Thank you. A big applause for Anders.